Aloha, this is Santa Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2025. Thank you so much for joining us on santasurfing.locals.com and on X as a subscriber. Really appreciate that. I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in because this is a little bit on what Eric Trump had posted. It's more on the financial realm that I'm going to talk about XRP, some of the things that have been going on and what Eric Trump was trying to hint on, and it was working. In an effort to save a lot of time, I've got a lot of life things happening. I'm posting my videos first on YouTube, and I'm posting a very shorter version on Rumble. So the short version just kind of gives highlights, but the little bit more details with receipts are on YouTube. So please come here to YouTube. You can click here. It'll take you to the channel, and you can subscribe to it. You could also see the YouTube channel in the links below. Okay, so and thanks so much for subscribing and following. It's just so much easier to post on one platform. Okay, so Eric Trump, he posted by the dips. XRP is now making big headlines, and August 1st explained because I was reading some comments over the weekend, and then I wanted to kind of give a little bit of clarification. So kind of giving things in a nutshell, I started writing this over the weekend, so it's going to be, some of it's a little dated, but you'll catch up. Financial and markets. The left plays really dirty, so they really can care less about your savings, what's in your portfolio. So what they do is they rig the job market report, right? And it's just like, come on. With Biden, they inflated the number saying that he had so many new jobs, when what they were doing, they were just rigging it that way in favor of the Democrats, and in this way they're rigging it downward. So President Trump, he posted the job numbers were rigged in order to make the Republicans, me meaning Trump, look bad, just like when they had 3 great days around the 2024 presidential election. And then those numbers were, quote unquote, taken away on November 15th, 2024, right after the election, when the jobs were massively revised downward, making a correction of 818,000 jobs, a total scam. Jerome Too Late Powell is no better, but the good news is our country is doing great. Okay. Well, what happened on Friday is it resulted in the markets going down. It was 1.11 trillion was wiped out of the stock market. Again, we know that there's a new Security and Exchange Commissioner, Paul Atkins. He's definitely pro-crypto, but he's now in place. All of these, President Trump has think of this. He's got financial geniuses in place in certain roles. He's got legal geniuses in place in certain roles, in their respective roles. He's getting the foundation in place. So stuff like this doesn't happen where you get market manipulation, all right? Because President Trump has talked about that before. President Trump family, they are running an empire. Eric Trump shares more insight with us by posting by the dips. Now, he posted 2 cryptos, but is he referring to cryptos in general? And he posted this on August 2nd, which is on Saturday. Let me say it again, by the dips. And he put down 2 cryptos on there, by the dips. Well, most people that are just into XRP because they see the ratio of return higher. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just sharing what I see out there and my own opinion. But he is saying it again. He posted it on February 25th, reposted it here, saying, let me say it again, by the dips. Now, XRP did drop. So, and we knew this was going to happen. President Trump, on August 1st, the big tariff deal, that happened. He signed crypto bills the week before. That all had to go fall into place. But was it because the unemployment numbers were rigged, right? The market dropped. The XRP even dropped last Friday. Most people Thursday, Friday, will look at this. Now, most people, especially the ones I hang out with on social media, they'll look at this as an opportunity to buy, okay? Again, this is not financial or any kind of advice, but this is what happened. Remember back earlier this year on March 7th, President Trump, he signed the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, and he says, never sell your Bitcoin. And the TDSers and the fake MAGAs and all those people, whoever, the anti-Trumpers, despite Trump, they were dumping their Bitcoin just to try to prove Trump wrong, okay? Then Bitcoin eventually, 4 months later, surged to over 120,000, and they were all mad. I think for some of them, their anger and their frustration has led to. I mean, it's costing them a lot. Okay, so that's what these are to the TDSers. They're like, I should have held on. I should have held on. No, they were just, I'm going to go ahead and spite Trump. I can't stand, the orange man. I can't stand him. Well, and boy, talk about backfiring, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of fun to watch. And then they were quiet. They were quiet like crickets. They disappear, and then the busload comes back, and then they start, doing whatever. Okay, so so what happened? This is what happened on August 1st. Okay, this is August 2nd. Okay, so XRP dropped. It dropped down to $2.83. Some people bought at $3.50 or $3.60, but it did drop. Okay, so that happens, right? We knew this was going to happen. We knew the surfers anons. We know how they work. We know how dirty they play. But back in March of 2020, when he made that big move, so let's just remember. Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Guys, I have so much happening behind the scenes that y'all don't know about. So I'm literally sleep deprived. Okay, so hang in there with me. Okay, remember back in March of 2020, in President Trump's first term, he made a ginormous move, okay? He bought oil at a quote-unquote very good price. This is the same day oil dropped to a negative number per barrel, okay? So did Trump buy the oil at zero? I asked this AI, did he buy it at a zero? But it's like what they said is the administration announced a solicitation to purchase up to 77 barrels, starting with an initial 30 million. And then Trump described the oil as being being bought at a very good price. But this is what happened at that time. At this time, the U.S. crude futures briefly turned negative. I know Trump, you know how he works, guys. He is not just a real estate developer when he was a businessman. He was an investor. He looked at things and he said, he just sat and watched. I'm sure when he heard of something that was going to happen, that was public information, he's just sitting there, and then he's like right by his phone, and then he calls a stockbroker and says, okay, go ahead and buy. I picture Trump doing that. Okay, and he's a hands-on guy. So man, president. So I'm wondering if he bought at zero. That's how President Trump works. Now, in terms of our trade and tariff deals, let's go and revisit what I talked about last week. President Trump, he is investing $900 billion. $900 billion. Now you can click here. It takes you to that article and that podcast of which is from Japan and from Korea. They both gave him money. They said, here's collectively $900 billion. In other words, they were buying down the tariff rate. Okay, so that's what they were doing. But they said, you, Mr. President, you can invest it any way you want. All the other investments had some kind of allocation. Okay, it was invested into AI, into energy, into other things, right? But this one here was, or manufacturing. So this one here was specifically into, here, President Trump, go ahead and take it. We trust you. Now, those countries have a vested interest in his investments. But what he is doing, President Trump is doing, is with that $900 billion investment, 90% of the profits are going to, yes, we the people. Now, see how it's all falling into place, right? Because now everyone has a vested, again, we didn't put money into it. He received it. But we all have an interest in making sure we support President Trump and make sure that he's a human. He wants that crowd support. He needs this crowd support. Okay. So sorry again, let's scroll there. So what happened today? XRP is up again. President Eric Trump, he was trying to help us. Eric Trump, the son of the president of the United States, the president of the world, Trump, okay? He is out there posting several times recently, buy the dips. Many saw this as an opportunity to, again, not financial advice, to buy XRP. And voila, poof, guess what happens on Monday? XRP is up. So the loss that they have from last week, it still needs to make up for when it was at like almost $3.60. Or it was actually close to $4. Anyway, it still has to make up for it. But Eric Trump is trying to say, hey, wake up, guys. Now, some of you are saying, well, I don't have, okay, excuse me, I'm just going to scroll down here. Some of you are saying, and I'm reading some of these comments, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Again, not financial advice, but let's look at the choices, okay? One specialty coffee plus a tip is equivalent to 2 XRPs, which the value, it will fluctuate. You'll never get, the only thing you get out of the coffee is that tasted good, and you got to sit at a really pretty cafe and meet with your little buddies that bring their laptops, and okay, that was really nice. But is it going to give you anything back in return, right? Okay, or you can buy 2 XRPs. Just throwing that out there, just kind of not saying to buy it. I'm just throwing that out there. And this is where the XRP is making its media debut. Woohoo! Guys, this stuff is what we look forward to, because this is stuff you all started to talk about 1, 2, 3 years ago, 6 years ago. Many of you bought at when it was like 6 cents, right? You're sitting really, really in a good spot right now. But XRP hitting USA Today headlines is like, you're jumping for joy. And this article is really good because they're saying you could put $500 into XRP, or you could put $500 into Bitcoin, but your return on again, I'm summarizing this whole article, the return on the XRP. You can go ahead and click on this article link in the article page. Click on that and it'll tell you the ratio of return for XRP and for other types of crypto. Okay, there you have it. Okay, go ahead and read it. But one of the many great gifts we get from the Trump administration and his family, and of course President Trump, is information and knowledge, right? We get Q posts, we get decoded information that you have to go ahead and dissect, right? So think this, have you ever heard of any big dirty politician or elite billionaire ever give us any kind of financial insights? Now, I'm not talking about, the people on the financial news. I'm talking about the elite billionaires that have made a fortune. And, again, that was the big elite club. Have they ever said, have you heard them ever, like Scott Bessent saying, I want to teach people about financial investments? Have you ever heard any big name say that? Never. Have you ever heard any dirty politician that's right now, some of them are getting exposed for insider information. We don't want that insider information, but wouldn't it have been nice if they say, wow, I just went ahead and invested into blank. Again, not insider information, or giving us some hints. Never. No ex-president has done it. President Trump, his administration, and his family are trying to help us. Period. I just wanted to cover that because it was really great. Okay, I know I spent 12 minutes talking about that, but paradigm shift. There's a lot of confusion about August 1st. And I will say this, guys, I was really being an empath. I'm sure many of you felt this too. It was over the weekend on August 1st, I think a lot of people were having such high expectations that President Trump never announced. He did say, he made announcements when he was at the tarmac, and he said, are you an American citizen? You're going to be very happy. All right, it's when his tariff and trade deal begins to roll out. It's the beginning of it. If you are buying a new business, all right, or if you're starting a new company, are you going to make a ton of money that first day you open your doors? I don't think so. Well, maybe you will, but most businesses, they start rolling out. But the excitement is there. They're like, woohoo, man, we get to open our shingles or open our online store, right? They start to get excited. It rolls out. They know it's going to go do well, but they just need to make it roll out even more and roll. Rolling out is the key phrase. For when project rolls out, it's just that. It's the rolling, and it's beginning, and the fruits of all of it will be rewarding. So think this, the veterans, and you can click on these and it'll take you to previous articles and podcasts. Veterans, the homeless people, and the homeless veterans, they're getting huge benefits right now. I call them NASARA benefits that are coming their way. So the veterans are getting protected now from foreclosure, and President Trump is making sure that they are going to prevent any foreclosure for a veteran. Veterans are also getting help with having a center right now, one center in Los Angeles, they might have more, where the veterans can get a lot of help there. And even if they need is just the transition stage. Homeless veterans are now going to be housed. Homelessness, homeless people, they're going to have shelter. Imagine that. That's huge. No other president has done that. So what we want is we want them to be very prosperous and happy about living. Those are the very least fortunate people, right? And then for us, we have the OBB bills, the crypto bills that became law. Now you might say, well, Santa, that still does nothing for me. Okay, guys, all I'm trying to do is just trying to enlighten you with information. SCOTUS rulings are in favor of President Trump's America First agenda that passed, right? Many great things that forms the foundation of our path is set into place. Now, President Trump and his team begin to roll out the greatness, and President Trump teaches us how to fish. Remember, I went through this on my last podcast. He didn't show us, hey, let me go fishing for you. Here's the rod. Here's the best boat you can go on. There's the best place you can go. Here's the best bait you can use, and go ahead, and it's up to you to cast your reel if you want to. It's really, really up to you. How you do it, you're going to have trial and error, but I see this as President Trump teaching us how to fish. So with all of the joy of our greatness, is it going to outweigh watching an arrest, right? Some public officials getting arrested is important to eliminate their controls, but wouldn't you like to all see children free and happy? What President Trump is setting into place right now, he really is paving a path for the future generations, which is so phenomenal. They are going to be so prosperous. But you're saying, this is really what really was hitting me hard, is like when I was reading a lot of comments, it's like, well, what about, I get it. What about us? Okay, weren't we doing this? We weren't expecting any of this, right? Weren't we doing this for the future generations, right? Weren't we in this fight for that? Don't you think our rewards are going to be in heaven? Whether we get any kind of rewards here on earth, while we're here on earth, that's all up to God. But don't you think that God's got his rewards in heaven for seeing what you've done? Yeah. We all have certain types of problems, but there's always, always a solution. So some people are counting on man to fix their problems. Yet when we really, truly cast our problems to God and trusting him for an answer and even miracles, that's the solution, guys. Give it to God. That's all he really wants. And then you just watch God's works. President Trump, it was really interesting. I never knew about this. President Trump posted a very strong message, and it was posted by Rapid Response, just to be thankful, is how I interpret this. President Trump, he made a move, and no one even talked about it. It was a big humanitarian move, and he talked about giving $60 million for food for the people of Gaza. Now, the message I'm hearing is a sign of gratitude and thank you. And that's what I believe, the message he's trying to send out there. Listen to this.
Well, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it, for food. And it's terrible. You really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. Nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. When I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else? But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it.
Strong message. It's telling me that he's human. His administration, a simple thank you, oh man, that can give him so much power of like, wow, we're getting so much gratitude out there for all the work we're doing. So rather than perhaps like saying, well, this didn't happen to me or that didn't happen to me, what if we converted that to hey, thank you for what you've done. This is awesome. And keeping those vibrations high. My husband picked this out for our home and I loved it. And I'm like, I took a picture of it. I still remember the days I prayed for the things I have now. So when we have all of these blessings that are on its way, and again, things beginning to roll out when we have those blessings on its way, just imagine how many of your prayers will start to get answered. And I'm not just talking about the financial rewards. I'm just saying that it's just When you have a happy heart, you can get through it. A happy heart with a lot of faith in God, you can get through anything. And when we thank God every day for every little thing that we have, that is just what our Lord in heaven will be so happy and so pleased about. Whatever life does give you, just being thankful and grateful for it. Watch how God will work. So leave it all up to God. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Have a beautiful, beautiful day and week, and I will have a show very soon. Aloha.